This podcast contains profanity and explicit material from the outset,
which may not be suitable for children or sensitive adults.
The views expressed are made in humour and are not designed to offend.
Now sit back and enjoy.
Right. Yeah, I need silence, please. All right, thank you. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 15 of the Three Little Pigs podcast. So myself and the boys are here again to drown our sorrows and chat about the things that Dave has researched heavily, for which me and Chris will present and haven't done any work at all.
Yeah.
Today's episode takes us on an exotic adventure to the Eastern lands, more specifically Japan, to talk to you about the fascinating and emotional topic of the Aokigahara. But before we begin, community roundup time.
Japan's in the East?
Yes. Gentlemen, a lot of things have changed recently. We're into the new year. Obviously, certainly not a new me.
Have they really?
Well, for me, they have.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot about you.
Yeah, it's always about you, isn't it? You never think of others.
Always.
So yeah, I bought, or myself and Cla bought our first maison, and we moved in over Christmas. So we've been very busy doing that and hosting people. So we haven't really had much time for anything.
Yeah, indeed.
It's it's a nice place. I have a splashy pool.
You do?
And yes. Unfortunately, we live in kind of like a bushfire prone area, which brings me to the next topic. Unfortunately, just now there's a really big bushfire happening in our state, and very sadly, 80 homes have been lost approximately. So just big shout out to the firefighters, the firefighter men and the firefighter ladies. They're doing an excellent job and keeping us safe and protecting houses and stuff. So yeah,
goddamn superheroes.
Salute our firefighters. It's actually quite sad because I'm part of like the community, like the local community Facebook page for like my area, and someone just put a thing on there that like they had a family of 5 lose absolutely everything to the point where they're asking for if anyone can donate underwear. That's how badly that family were affected. So we wish everybody the best and stay safe to all our firefighters, the firefighter officers. Yes. Hoping that it will go okay. The weather's really laid off tonight. It's quite cold, and hopefully they can get on top of it.
Yeah, and it's meant to be raining on the weekend, but the only problem is because we didn't need just the fires, we've now also got a tropical cyclone up north, which is pushing the shit weather down to and fueling the fire with the winds that are...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So yes, come to Australia where even the weather can kill you.
Yeah. And hate your guts. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what?
It hates your guts. The animals hate us.
Oh, it hates your guts. So I thought you said something else there. And also we are WA where we stay has been COVID free for 10 months, and then one guy got COVID, and the government, and quite rightly so, the state government decided to lock us down for 5 days. So we're in lockdown until tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, because that's when COVID is going to go away.
Yeah, we'll see.
Precisely tomorrow at 6.
They've just released all the latest bits and pieces for it too. So if we have to wear masks until the 14th of February.
Do we?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good, because we just got our masks in the post today that we ordered online, and it's quite nice because we paid like $20 for them, and I've not been able to wear it yet, so that's fair enough.
There you go. You have a week of using it before it's chucked in the cupboard.
No, so we've got to wear masks until the 14th.
Yeah, 14th of...
and then you're allowed to take them off and kiss everybody because it's Valentine's Day.
Exactly right.
Wow.
And my son's birthday, so...
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got to share something with you guys on that topic. I don't remember.
What, Dave's son's birthday or Valentine's Day?
No, about the whole mask thing. No, I'll send it to you guys.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, no doubt it'll probably end up being longer because it's been like 6 days now since they detected the first case or whatever.
Yep. And then they didn't they
so-
tested all that because that guy he lived with people, so they're testing all them and stuff. But that it's possible that someone else has been infected.
Yeah. So in theory, they shouldn't be popping up until around now-ish. But if there was a positive case, it'll probably
maybe
pop
that's
up
why
around.
they've got the mask precaution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fairness, oh no, sorry, on you go.
So he went on a tour of Perth as well when he was coughing and spluttering, so that didn't help
Oh
either.
yeah.
So he went on a disease tour of Perth, which was always a good look.
Yeah, I don't feel so
But I
well.
don't-
I'm going to go to all these places and sneeze on the vegetables.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was before or after he was sick. I don't really know the clarity on that one.
Yeah, apparently got sick and then went for a bit of a wander.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Silly
I thought
boy.
it was before he got sick.
Because he was an Uber driver as
Silly boy.
well, so he was driving around all over the place whilst an Uber driver. And sick.
Oh dear.
I thought they said he wasn't initially during the.
No, did they not? Yeah. They said he was, but did Big Marky Boy not say something like that? They confirmed he hadn't done any.
Oh, that's
trips
not
while he
safe for
was-
family, Dave.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I just saw.
Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry.
what is it?
I
hold
should
on.
have given you a precursor.
Thanks, mate.
Ah.
Sorry.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Because you were
It's-
talking about kissing with the masks.
It's a lady doing kisses on a doodle.
But she's wearing an appropriate PPE.
She is wearing the correct. She would be wearing goggles as well then.
Well, yeah.
Porn protection equipment.
Just a big splash guard.
Oh.
But yeah, in fairness, I think
That'd be Guzu when we're talking about Guzu.
that just means goose.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But in fairness, our state's handled it pretty well, and I think the general consensus, certainly for me, is we're not too bothered by going into a lockdown because we've been doing everything the rest of the world can't for the last 10 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you got these people
So I
complaining
think-
about wearing a mask. Like the guys, I got family in eastern states and in Melbourne, particularly, and they're like, "We've been wearing masks for the last 7 months. Fucking get over it. It's not like it's that much. 5 days, so
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I could put up with it. It's is what it is. It's just if we all do our bit and suck it up and get on with it.
Yep.
So,
just like that picture was.
Yeah.
just like the picture of the lady doing doodle kisses. So as well, boys, I got a new graphics card for my PC. As the boys know, I upgraded to the GeForce RTX 2060 Super.
Ah,
Super.
It's the 8 gig version, so it gives me a lot more. And it because I also got Cyberpunk 2077 when it came out, and it's
you bastard.
I've played it once, as in not once through, as in just I played it one time. Because we obviously moved and stuff. But it ran really well. But yeah, that was a bit of a fuck up for the company because it was a console killer. The same as when No Man's Sky first came out. It was just killing consoles.
Yeah.
And it did not deliver. Goose, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, it seems to be the way with AAA titles these days. There's a big rush to get them out when they're not finished. But in fairness to the companies and the corporations and whatever, the publishers, developers, all that, whatever you want to call it, games are on a much larger scale now as far as graphics and size and processing and coding and all that sort of stuff. The capability of the hardware, it's a lot more complex than it used to be. So what you consider AAA titles these days are, I don't know, massively times bigger than what you were looking at even 5-10 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's very ambitious. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. You want a game that's very high quality and polished very well, but at the same time, there's a rush to get stuff out, and then just the sheer size of it, the sheer work that goes into them, is you're bound to run into bugs and hiccups. And I think they should never have released it on PS4, or sorry, the last gen consoles. They should never have released it on there.
Definitely.
That was just a massive mistake, because we all knew that it just wasn't going to work. With the graphics and the size that they were claiming, and we all, well, if you're a gamer, you know that CD Projekt Red doesn't do their worlds in half measures. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, look at The Witcher 3 and stuff like that. Like, they're just massive. But again, that game was very, like, pretty old by today's standards. Anyway.
I think it's just it is a shame that because the majority of console players just now are still using the last gen consoles purely because of all the fucking console scalpers who they should be a yearly fuckwits, because they've ruined it for a lot of people, a lot of good hardworking people, just to make a bit of buck, and they ruined it for those people. But unfortunately, it's the way it goes.
Call me a cynic, call me critical, but that's just fucking people these days, man. It's just people are just like that, and it's just accepted, or I don't know. Like, ticket scalpers have been doing it for a long time, but
that's it.
When you start moving over, like, over to stuff like that, it's just pathetic. It's like, I haven't got one because I don't pre-order stuff. I just like buying stuff off the shelves. That's just how I roll.
Yeah.
So, and like, I haven't got one yet. And I don't know. Would you know when the next wave's coming out, or when?
Did they not say it was like something like March or some stupid
March.
shit?
And end of March, mid-March is what I heard for the roll. And that's still pre-orders though.
Yeah, and the thing is, like for me as well, like, I'm just gonna let it calm down. Like,
me too.
Like I can play the latest games on my PC.
I can't.
So at least I've got that going. However, we've been playing a shitload of games on the PS4 anyway, haven't we, Goose?
Yeah, we have. And this game that in particular is it's 2 years old. I didn't even realize. The only reason I picked it up is because it's on sale.
And it's full of the graphics aren't like incredible, and it's full of bugs, but it's the most fun ever.
It's super fun. Yeah.
See, I have to sit here because I'm an Xbox loser, so I don't get to play your PS4 games. So.
Yeah, and I've even got my own private server, Dave. So you could have, you could have come in, could have had fun, could have learned.
Can I play it on the PC and cross, or is it just PS4? To
PS4? It's not cross.
Because that's what I would have done. I would have PC'd it and then having cross played that way.
Stepping into the realm of, this is the first time I've rented a server. Basically, it's done through G Portal. And I never had any pre-existing opinions on them one way or another, but it was real easy. Real easy to set up, real easy to buy, user friendly. I haven't been spammed with emails from them about advertising or asking for more money or anything like that. Yeah, it's only like $18 a month.
Oh, that's pretty good, man. Yeah.
So and I mean, now there's me, Jay, Mr. Miyagi, Mr. Miyagi, and two others as well.
Topical.
Stagman's on with us, and Surfer as well. So those guys, we've not all been on together yet, but that'll be coming. It's Conan Exiles we've been playing.
Yeah, we did.
You should probably say that. Yeah, we're talking about this really good game. It's like, what game are they playing?
It's kind of like, I guess it's similar to World of Warcraft in ways, but it's not so linear. In World of Warcraft, you couldn't go to certain areas of the maps or the dungeons or whatever you want to call them unless you're a certain level. This just lets you go wherever you want straight away, and if you die, you die.
It's I found that like a lot of games, Scum was the same when it first. Well, it still is the same, really. They only fairly recently offered like an AI based like introduction when you first spawn in. There's like a very basic thing that tells you at least how to get like your first improvised backpack, so you can at least carry items. But that's taking some time. But it's just Conan's is very, very unforgiving.
Yeah,
it's
and I like games that don't hold your hand. A massive fan of the Dark Souls series. That's from Software, and just massive fan of games that don't hold your hand. And this game is savage, there's full frontal nudity. Nudity.
You can get the doodles out for the boys.
The doodles and the boobies and the vaginas.
in the butts.
It's all there. Yeah. So it's but yeah, it's basically a survival game. Building, a lot of base building.
Shitloads of base.
And then there's heaps of hidden questing and stuff like that.
If you like us and you have that kind of OCD mentality, stroke, we just love to grind and farm things. Like we hoard. Like if we had enough money to hoard real life items, we would, but we don't.
Yeah.
So what we do is we do it in games.
Yeah, that's right. You punch the trees to get the wood.
You punch the trees, you punch the rocks, you get this, and you put them in the mega hoard chest, and then someone else does something with it.
Yeah. So our friend that we play with, Miyagi, was he was telling us that
wax on, wax off?
Apparently it's very, very true and accurate to the actual lore. So it's set around, the Arnold Schwarzenegger Conan.
Yeah.
Like it's set all around
Conan the
that.
Barbarian. Yeah, well, the guys that released Cyberpunk better watch out.
Yeah, well, that's just bad marketing and poor form. They knew, dude. So all the controversy behind that, like how when they released it to critics and journalists and all that sort of stuff, they only gave them PC versions. No one ever got to review it on console, and they were only allowed to show footage from the cutscenes. They weren't allowed to show actual gameplay footage.
Because all the streamers were open about it. Like, oh yeah, they sent me this, but I can only show you this footage, and I can only talk about my experience, and then I can't give you any spoilers either.
Yeah. So it was all very, but like it was running on the PS4. So you got the PS4 and the PS4 Pro, obviously, right? And they released it on the original PS4, not the Pro system, and it was running at like in between. I think it was averaging like 17 frames per second.
Man, I've seen some screenshots of the original PS4 of the game, and it looks so bad.
Yeah,
like GTA 5 looks heaps better.
Yeah,
on that, it's like, yeah.
They would have had to, just from the sheer amount of data that their console needs to process, they would have had to have downscaled it massively, and it still can't do it. So
and the game's pretty bugged as well.
Yeah,
at the best of times. So
yeah, well, Stag's got it. He's got a PS5, and he said it runs smooth, but man, there's a lot of just game-breaking stuff in there.
So, yeah. Well, I mean, so I say the one time I played it for like an hour, there was a few very minor graphical bugs, where like you'd I guess it's like your character frame would just disappear, but the weapon would be still there. And then in cutscenes you would the cutscene would happen and you would like spawn in like a second later. So but yeah, they'll fix it. They'll get there. But
yeah, well, that's what I'm hoping. By the time I actually pick up a PS5, I'm hoping it's well polished, because I am looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I think given us what we're it's let's let them iron out all the creases first because we'll just get annoyed. You just think you'll feel like you've just bought a defunct piece of shit that doesn't work. When it's not the console's fault, it's the games.
Yeah, the game's
that's exactly what Stag said.
The things that it's unstable, then therefore it makes it unpleasant, and you feel like you've bought. I'm sure we mentioned this before, but do you remember the game Medieval?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's is that not got a remake coming out?
Yeah, I think it's already out.
No, is it?
No, it might be. No, I think it might be on pre-order. Maybe.
Oh, nice! I can't wait. It's going to be good. I spent a lot of time on that as a kid.
Yeah,
it was a good game.
It was a nice little game. Yeah.
And
unfortunately, the new Baldur's Gate has went the style of the originals, like the original PC versions.
Yeah.
So the Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance and Dark Alliance 2 were two of that was I spent so much time on them on the PS2. Those games were absolutely fantastic, and it was breaking for an RPG on a console.
Yeah.
It was weird because they actually I remember when I took in my PS2 for an Xbox 360, I traded in to get money off, and you know how you normally get a couple of bucks for games. It was in when was it? It must have been about like the TV shows back home, like it's like Foxtel, but it's called Sky back home.
Yeah, man.
And like certain channels it was like the first of its kind. They used to show like gaming programs,
Oh, okay.
but it was always they always used to show The Legend of Mir.
Mm.
It's very. I don't know if you've ever played it or seen it being played, but it's
I've
very.
heard of it.
It's very similar to Ultima. If you Google it, you'll see. It's kind of like it's like Ultima, but it's more like League of Legends.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like it's kind of like that. Like that
games
that
that
top down.
The games I used to have on those game shows when I was growing up was literally Echo the Dolphin.
Man, I remember that. That was awesome.
Yeah, I'm showing my age, but Jesus Christ, but Echo the Dolphin.
Yeah, no,
used to,
that was one of
yeah.
That was one of my first ones. And Altered Beast.
Yeah, man, like
As
old
well.
school
Yeah,
scrollers.
Sega Mega Drive.
I was watching it's a thing on Netflix at the moment talking about old school games, and because I like Doom, I like old school Doom and Wolfenstein 3D, and it turns out that the one Caucasian guy he left school at 17 and just worked for, I basically started up ID Software, which obviously he what he does is instead of having the consoles running the thing on the game, when you plug the game in, it had a 3D chip in the game. So that's how they ran all like Star Fox and shit on Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo. It was all run off chips on the game, as opposed to actually the consoles, which were set. Like you couldn't.
Yeah.
He used to hack Game Boys and Nintendo 64s and Super Nintendos just to be able to get his game on. So yeah.
Everybody knew a guy that could like chip a PlayStation and stuff. In fact, you could buy those things.
Yeah, I had a chip one.
Shops. Yeah, you could actually buy the thing that done it.
Yeah, well, back in the day of
those.
those era of consoles, all they were was a translating device. So, like you said, the game was actually on the cartridge, but all the console did was translate it so it came out on the screen.
Yeah. It's like I had an original, here's show my age again, original NES, the old original Nintendo, and you should go to the video shop when video shops were around, and you should get the 101 games in one cartridge. So a lot of them were shit, but playing 101 games in this cartridge, some were like Mario 3, but it was just people making their own cartridges up and selling it in the in the shops. It was fucking sick.
Well, it was at the time it was like that was what an emulator was or is.
Yeah,
shall we say? You know, they're just doing
my old favorite pastime was like, you know, every Saturday once a week when I was a kid, Mum would take me to the video store down to Jumbo Video.
Yeah,
and hire a game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, old Blockbuster. We used to have Blockbuster back home, and yeah, you could do that. You'd hire a game.
Hey, would you like me to?
You were always the coolest kid if you got to hire Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat 3. Yeah. Have you?
Always the coolest kid.
I used to work in a video shop back in the day, and here's a bit of in real life story. So I remember when they released DVDs, and they also released the first adult DVD, and it was called Hot Rides. And it was, yeah, it was, and it was a lot of.
That's the kind of film I want to watch.
It was ladies
about
enjoying.
cars.
It was actually. It was ladies enjoying the company of men in front of souped-up cars. There was no storyline. There was no plumber coming to visit or your stepmom stuck in a couch. But it was definitely a it was definitely a storyline.
A bit like that must have been awkward. Like serving people because you knew what they were getting the films for.
Yeah, of course. There was a lady hold on a second. There was a lady who every Sunday, because I used to work Sundays, every Sunday would hire 8 videos for her pornograph, and sometimes it was with her, sometimes it was with her and her partner, but they knew. Like, they would ask me whether this was any good. I'm like, at the time, I was sort of 16, 17. And
they're all good. Yeah. Every single one of them.
Everything was amazing. But, it was without fail. I can't remember her name, but, in my old hometown, I could still see her and could look her straight in the face because I knew she didn't hire anything else. She didn't hire any new releases or anything like that. She just hired stuff for her pornograph. So
That's the naughty porn lady.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah,
it is. A naughty
surprised
porn
it was a lady.
Yeah, it was a lady, and sometimes it would have the man. I can still remember a picture of his face. It was mental health, PS5s, and dickholes. What the fuck?
Yeah. So yeah, I've got a fuckwit, but I'll Have you boys got a fuckwit?
Did you say Allah?
Yeah. Allah.
Allah Akbar.
All right, weekly fuckwits. Do I go first with this, or do we change it up?
No, man. I mean,
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. Weekly fuckwits. My so
like
as you yes. Hold on. Did that come through? Did the noise come through?
Yes, it did.
Well, that would be disgusting. Okay, we'll start again. So yeah, weekly fuckwits. As you both know, we got a new puppy recently. And
has he been a fuckwit?
He is my fuckwit for this week. I don't know if I sent this to you. So in the house we set up the main bathroom as like we kind of puppy proofed it. So because he doesn't do too great in the cage, but we've got to start getting him a bit of freedom when we leave because we've got to get him used to being out the back. So what we done is we puppy proofed the main bathroom, which is fine.
Yeah.
And we set up a camera in there so we can watch him when we're out. Obviously, we don't use it for showering and stuff. We just it's just for the puppy just now. But so what I did is the camera we've got in there is it's a magnet mount. So what I did was I stuck it to the wall with like Gorilla Tape, the mount, and then the camera's on it. But sometimes the Gorilla Tape it just comes away over time because of the weight of the mount and the camera. So I thought, I'll put the bath mat in the bathtub. So if the camera falls, it will land on that and hopefully won't crack the lens.
Yeah.
But what's happened was we went out. I was at work actually, and Clara went out. She took the other one to the vet actually because he's got sore ears, the poor boy. And he's been jumping up at the window to look outside, obviously not liking where he was. And at some stage, he's obviously jumped up at the bath near where the taps are.
Yeah.
And he's hit the fucking hot tap and turned the bath on, and nearly flooded the fucking bathroom.
Wow.
Oh,
what a legend.
Yep. And I will send you the picture right now in the group chat, and you can see. So Clara comes back from the other one at the vets, and she was going to leave again and go to the shops. So she's like, she heard him crying and stuff. She's like, maybe go and check on him. And whereas I fucking shit you not, she's walked into the bathroom, and this is what she's seen, bearing in mind with the water still running. Let's check the chat.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. Caught it just in time, and that's hot water as well.
Holy shit.
So it wasn't draining because you can see the bath mat in the bath. So
yeah.
I was like, oh my God, we just moved in and I've just got visions of having a fucking
water damage everywhere.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Wow.
So yeah, our new dog, Remus, he is my fuckwit of the week. He ran a bath when we were out and nearly flooded the house.
We'll throw that picture up on the social
funny.
pages so you can see what we're talking about. But
do it in the four thing. You know that four thing you do?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do it in that. Just like, what the fuck? It's a fucking bathroom.
What is
a
random bathroom?
Yeah.
Ooh, was there a murder in there?
Yes, there was a murder. It's so clean.
The wet bandits have struck again.
Yeah.
Home Alone reference. Nice.
Right, what you got for us, Goose?
All right, so my fuckwit of the week comes very close to home. Don't worry, it's no one in my family, so it's all good. So me and the missus have been trying to we rearranging the lounge room, and you know as you do every now and again.
Yeah.
Anyway, we had this big ass TV unit. It's massively heavy, and we wanted to get rid of it. So we managed to get it outside. Now this is 11:30 at night because it's just what time we did it. Anyway, so we managed to finally get it out the front, and we wake up at it was 7:30, 8 a.m. the next morning, fucking gone. it wasn't a bad unit, but like not worth the hassle of selling it. You know what I mean? But yeah, 11:30 at night, 7:30 a.m. the next morning, gone. Like, what the fuck is that about? And we like figured, oh yeah, well, you know, that's some people do that and stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we went into this whole lockdown thing, right? We, you know, or whatever. And I get a knock at the door, like during the whole lockdown thing, and I'm like, this better be fucking good. Like, honestly, if it's not good, it's gonna piss me off.
Yeah.
And it turns out it was my neighbor from across the road, and she was like, "Oh, I just wanted to make sure it was okay that we took that TV unit. You were throwing it out, right?" And I'm like, "You're knocking on my door for this? Like, clearly it was out the front. Like, A, what the fuck are you doing? Like, watching my house at all hours of the night, or whatever the fuck you're doing." And then B, why are you knocking on my door during a knock? Like, to be fair, she was wearing a mask and all this sort of stuff, but it's like, I don't need to know. I don't care. I fucking threw it out for a reason. Y'all mean? Like,
yeah, I mean.
Fuck, y'all mean? Like,
Yeah,
fucking,
I mean.
yeah. Anyway, so that's to me, she's just a
Fuckwit.
Just general neighbor nonsense.
Yeah, just general neighbor. They're nice enough people, and you know, normally I don't interact with my neighbors too much, but yeah.
But the interaction made her seem like a complete and utter fuckwit, which is
it's
great.
It's like, why are you bothering? Like, just leave me alone.
But I get it. Like, see if she'd knocked your door in the morning when they took it, just to say, "Look, are you chucking this out? Can I take it?" I understand, but not after the fact.
Yeah, this is like I think it was
point?
it was like a day or two later. I'm like, I don't care where it's gone. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
anyway.
it fucking is all right now, then, because it's gone.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I hope it's all right that I took it. It was like, well, you've already got it and given it to someone. So, like, what the fuck?
Well,
anyway.
I honestly thought you were going to turn and say she fucking sold it online.
Well, she could have. It wasn't in bad condition.
That would have been funny. I would have laughed at that. So there you go. Your neighbor steals your furniture.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, it's like, how, just such a short turnaround. It's like, why? Anyway.
but she was. We saw them moving 5 years ago. We saw them with that TV cabinet, and I just had to have it.
It's my TV cabinet. Yeah.
I knew they would throw it out at some stage because he was really pissed off taking it into the house and putting it together. I remember hearing the argument.
Yep.
Stephen,
She's been waiting this whole time.
Oh, Stephen, they've thrown out the TV unit.
Well, lads, my fuckwit, I went international with mine. I as I said, I'm on annual leave at the moment, so all my life consists of lockdown and random internet. And I managed to find a gentleman called Dr. Andreas Niederbichler from Germany. And he
Niederbichler?
Dr. Andreas David Niederbichler, aged 45. He's a top doctor from Germany. He's been jailed for causing the death to his lover after he secretly sprinkled cocaine on his genitals, leading her to suffer from a fatal overdose.
Why would you do it secretly?
How much? Wait. Okay. Right. Go again. Say that again.
A top doctor in Germany has been jailed for causing the death of his lover after he secretly sprinkled cocaine on his genitals, leading her to suffer a fatal overdose. We don't laugh because it's more of the fact of the secretly sprinkled cocaine. So, are we talking a line here, or are we talking half a kilo on his? Well,
I was
not sure.
I was gonna say, because like, think about it this way. Like, I don't know what the I don't know drugs, right? But if it's described as a sprinkle in any kind of granular substance, to me that's not a lot.
Yeah.
So therefore, to me, that was like not a lot of cocaine. So how has she died of a not a lot of cocaine overdose?
I'd be curious to know that too.
I'm not sure. So he's been jailed for 9 years for aggravated rape and bodily harm, leading to the death of, after making his blonde lover identified only as Yvonne M. That sounds like a completely German name, Yvonne, age 38, from taking cocaine by putting it on his private parts. She was not his only victim, though, as the court of Magdeburg, not Nuremberg like the other one was, in the German state of Saxony, heard that Dr. Niederbichler put cocaine on his foreskin before having vaginal, anal, and oral sex with 3 other women between September 2015 and 2018.
Wow.
Yeah. So he would secretly put cocaine. This guy must have had like kilos of coke. He had secretly put cocaine in glasses of champagne
Well,
and
he was
lipstick.
a doctor, right?
He was, yeah.
Yeah, that's
He was, and also in their toothpaste, their lipstick and toothpaste. He was compared to the 50 Shades character Christian Grey. I'll show you a picture of him. He's a complete penis.
So was he like essentially poisoning them, or were they on board with this? Like, what?
Well, apparently the sex was consensual, but the
cocaine wasn't.
The cocaine, yeah, it wasn't. So this is
cocaine, yeah.
So this is what this guy. Look, where's he gone? There he is. This is Dr. I'll put it on the group chat. I'll put it again. This is going on the other one. But prosecutors say he was compared to the 50 Shades character David Christian Grey, and been working as a head physician in their plastic, aesthetic, and hand surgery unit. He met her via a dating site and heard that whilst the sex was consensual, the oral sex, where she ended up with the cocaine in her mouth, was not. After partaking in the sex act, she became short of breath and soon collapsed, and the autopsy relieves that she was died of overdose. She must have been bathing in the shit. Now,
that's a lot of penis cocaine.
That's a lot of penis cocaine. There's the episode
cocaine.
title. Anita Bickler was now being sued by Yvonne's widowed husband and son, who were looking for compensation. Where is the money for my wife's not dick funeral? As well as trying to force the top doctor to pay funeral costs. He's got 9 years in jail. But breaking the silence to the local newspaper, the doctor claimed Yvonne was a willing participant in the act that saw him jailed. And this is what he said. I'm going to put a fantastic...
That's kind of like... Okay, yeah, carry on.
Yeah. Yes, they were drugs, but I didn't give them any drugs without letting them know about it. I was looking for a kick, and they were taking part as well. I want to prove that I wasn't a criminal act that resulted in the tragic death of Yvonne. So apparently she was an experienced cocaine user and was looking for a lawyer to have the. And he was looking for a lawyer to have the verdict overturned. So it looks like they've gone into a bit of a sexy cocaine game, and she died as a result of having too much of the nose beers. So.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. That's what I'm getting at. It's like, how do you to have that much cocaine to overdose? Like, you would probably know about it.
Yeah,
like,
it's a lot.
And that's the thing as well. Like, as a first time cocaine user, I'm assuming her tolerance level would be very, very, very low. But also, as a veteran and experienced cocaine user, I would assume her tolerance level would be very, very, very high. This is why I would query how much the quantity of a sprinkle is.
I'm assuming it's almost like a half cup.
He just got the sieve out in a half cup measurement, and he was just like he was dusting a Victoria sponge cake.
Yeah, exactly right. He was yeah, it's exactly what it was. He was treating his testicles like a freshly baked flan. But it was
it's flan.
Flan.
It's flan. The flan did not rise. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have as I said, a very different topic for you all. We're kind of all like going to present the one thing.
Yeah.
And something different.
Yes, and I think technically for me and Goose, we have to give credit to Dave because he's the one that done all the research for this one.
Yeah, that is true.
And I don't know where his sources are from. It's the internet somewhere. So let's thank the internet.
Thank you, Internet.
Thank you, Internet. Just like we do every night before bed, we pray to the Internet gods for providing us hours and hours of entertainment. As I said earlier, today's episode takes us on an exotic adventure to the Eastern lands, more specifically Japan, to talk to you about the fascinating and emotional topic of the Aokigahara.
Ooh.
So the Aokigahara, also known as the Sea of Trees, is a forest on the northwestern flank of Japan's Mount Fuji, thriving on 30 square kilometers of hardened lava laid down by the last major eruption of Mount Fuji in 864 CE. And for those of you that don't know your history in years, CE, I do believe, stands for Common Era.
Well,
Yeah.
there you go.
No, I didn't know that.
No.
Yeah. So you know how they have years like 10,000 AD.
Yeah, so have they gotten rid of that?
No, I think that's
No.
just the reference that's been used for.
Uh,
So pretty much how it's so obviously 3000 AD would be AD stands for Anno Domini, which
Yeah.
some argue it was like it started at like 3000 or they started at whatever, and then they counted down to 0 AD, and then it became BCE. But that like some people argued that BC or BCE stands for before Christ.
yes.
But then the other thing is before Common Era. So there
there
you
you
go. So it AD finished and CE started. But then there's other arguments about it. That's when they started actually recording the years and stuff, and then the Romans invented the calendar or something like that.
Well, there you go.
It was Julius Caesar. Was it not him that invented the
Julian calendar, yeah.
Yeah, the Julian calendar. So,
and the month of July, which was based off his name, and Augustus Caesar, which was August. There you go. Enjoy.
There you
Well,
go.
there you go.
Enjoy. It's
Yeah.
calendar history, the most exciting topic in the world.
That's right.
That's right.
So the western edge of the Aokigahara, where there are several caves that fill with ice in winter, is a popular destination for tourists and school trips. However, parts of the Aokigahara are very dense, and the porous lava absorbs sound, helping to provide visitors with a sense of solitude. And before we continue, I should say we do apologize for our pronunciation of some of the literal names because we're probably going to get it wrong, but we'll try. We'll try. So we do apologize.
We'll try.
In advance.
Yeah.
So, the forest has a historical reputation as a home to the Yuri, which translates to the ghosts of the dead in Japanese mythology. Now, in recent years, the Aokigahara has become known as the suicide forest, one of the world's most used suicide sites. The signs at the head of some of the trails urge suicidal visitors to think of their families and contact a suicide prevention association, such as Headspace.
Yeah.
13111.
14.
Oh no, that's not Headspace. That's Lifeline.
Yeah, it's like
131114.
Either way, call them.
They can connect you to.
You can
Headspace, and it's fine.
to the people you need to speak to. So the forest floor mostly consists of volcanic rock, which can be difficult to penetrate with hand tools. Since the forest is very dense, in recent years, what?
It's a random.
Why is this in here? Why?
It's a random fact.
Yes, if you planned on opening a coffee shop, think again. I'm just gonna stop. You're gonna need some of that star metal pickaxe to get.
You can't use you can't use hand tools.
Yeah. Fucking hell. Right, okay. I'm going to start that bit again.
Anyway,
So the forest floor mostly consists of volcanic rock. And since the forest is very dense, in recent years, hikers and tourists trekking through the Aokigahara have begun to use plastic tape to mark the paths to avoid getting lost. The designated trails lead to several tourist attractions, such as the Narusawa Ice Cave, the Fugaku Wind Cave, and the Lake Sai-Bat Cave, which are the three larger lava caves near Mount Fuji. Now,
Are they bats that carry size around? That'd be cool.
I don't know. It could be ninja bats.
Ninja bats.
With the ice cave of Narusawa being frozen year round.
ooh.
Now, the Aokigahara has been falsely portrayed as a place where navigational compasses go haywire. Oh, kind of like the Bermuda Triangle. Needles of magnetic compasses will move if placed directly on the lava, aligning with the rock's natural magnetism, which varies in ion content and strength by location. However, a compass behaves as expected when held at normal height.
Oh, there you go.
So don't try to navigate the forest while crawling along the floor.
Yes, that would be silly.
That would
Oh,
be silly.
here's a fun fact. The Japanese Ground Self-Defense Force has conducted its ranger courses, including navigation training in the forest since 1956.
Ooh,
Oh.
that's going to be tricky.
Fun fact for those playing at home for Japanese ground defense bingo, that should be crossed off the top one. Well done.
Oh man, that's like deep pub quiz knowledge.
There
That
you
should
go.
be in the podcast pub quiz.
There you go.
Episode coming soon. Yeah. So Aokigahara is sometimes referred to as the most popular site for suicide in Japan. In 2003, 105 bodies were found in the forest, exceeding the previous year's tally of 78 in 2002.
105.
Mm-hmm.
105.
They were found.
Wow.
In 2010, the police recorded more than 200 people having attempted suicide in the forest, of whom 54 completed the act.
Wow.
The suicides are said to increase during March, which is the end of the fiscal year in Japan.
Well, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of social pressure on the working population.
Especially Japanese businessmen.
Yeah,
They're,
the working culture is everything over there.
Yeah.
I was watching a thing. It's like because it doesn't matter really what you do. Like the young professionals, like the young people with jobs. Like I was watching a thing on a lad that worked in a casino, and he wear a suit from his house while he commutes to work, and then work will provide him with a uniform as well. So he could wear, like most people could wear whatever way they want traveling to work if you're given a work uniform. But like, and a lot of the young, men and women, they actually do that. They wear suits to their jobs, and then they'll change clothing. So there's a very, very big working culture over there. There's some very interesting documentary or like kind of small documentaries on YouTube. There's a channel called Pablo from Tokyo. If you've never watched it, it's very good. It's very addicting to watch. So yeah, watch that. You'll know what I mean.
Yeah, sweet. All right, I'll do it.
Jay's
So as a-
5-minute review. Yeah.
Of Japan.
Well, that was a
Yeah,
about
yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah, it's all right. It's a bit hot. But yeah,
It's all right. Yeah.
that was like my review of Hong Kong. It was a bit hot.
Yeah.
The food was nice.
Yeah.
So, as of 2011, the most common means of suicide in the forest were hanging or by drug overdose. Now, in recent years, local officials have stopped publicizing the numbers to try and decrease the Aokigahara's association with suicide. The rate of suicide has led officials to place a sign at the forest's entry urging suicidal visitors to seek help and not take their own lives. 131114.
But before we continue, the lifeline for Japan is 03 5774 0992. That's 03.
Who the fuck could remember that?
0992. I think they'd probably get pissed off with it and go, I can't remember shit.
I'd get halfway through it and want to kill myself anyway.
Yeah. I don't remember.
Jesus.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It had to be done.
Yeah, reason.
0391. Fuck.
Oh, fuck this. I wonder. Well, do you know what? I wonder what would happen
Somehow, some of that's got to stay in. Like somehow.
Well, maybe their stats of the volume of callers to the line will increase if the number wasn't so fucking hard to remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe
they made it that way on purpose.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Don't
teens,
call. We don't care about your shit.
Apparently, their lifeline says kids, teens, and adults are welcome to call. Thank you.
No old people and no dogs.
Yeah, well, that's going to lead on very nicely to the next part of it. So.
Oh yes. So, annual body searches have been conducted by the police, volunteers, and journalists since 1970.
Oh my
Now,
god!
Dave,
so it's a yearly thing that they have to do.
Yeah,
but
it's
Dave,
like
I sent you a link. Was it the Vice documentary I sent to you, Dave, about it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right. And I believe in that one, it followed an old boy who's like this volunteer that just goes into the forest and tries and stops people from killing themselves.
Yeah.
And I think at one stage during it, he says that like they get like local street gangs and stuff will flood through the forest and like search the bodies and like steal all the fucking jewelry and stuff.
Yeah.
And flog it. Yeah.
Feral fucks.
But then he was like, but the actual it's not very common for them to go through and actually lift bodies. Like there could be some bodies in there for a long time before they get lifted.
Yeah.
So they don't regularly search, if you know what I mean. Like it's not like a weekly occurrence. It could be every couple of months they do a sweep.
Yeah.
If no one's obviously found, then.
Well, you know how you sent me that Vice documentary of the, and he talks about the car that had been abandoned. Well, I watched another documentary which is called Dark Tourist on Netflix, and the same car was still abandoned.
I've been meaning to watch that.
It's real.
That was it. Yeah,
that's good.
I'll keep going. So, the site's popularity has been attributed to, and again, apologies for the pronunciation, to Seiko Matsumoto's 1961 novel Nami no To, which translates to The Tower of Waves, which is very much like Romeo and Juliet story, but having the same tragic ending. However, the history of suicide in Aokigahara predates the novel's publication, and the place has long been associated with death. Ubasuti, or is that how I pronounce that?
Ubasuti, yeah.
Ubasuti may have been practiced there into the 19th century, and the forest is reputably haunted by the yuri of those left to die.
Ubasuti, or abandoning an old woman, as you mentioned, also called Obasuti, and sometimes Oyasuti, abandoning a parent, is the supposed rare old practice of senicide. Is that like
Senior
killing senior citizens?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. In Japan, whereby an infirm or elderly relative was carried to a mountain or some other remote desolate place and left there to die. Wow, that's pretty savage. According to the Kondensha Illustrated Encyclopedia of Japan, Ubasudi is the subject of legend, but does not seem to ever have been a common custom. The Ubasudi has left a mark on Japan or Japanese folklore, where it forms the basis of many legends, poems, and koans. What's a koan?
It's like a short.
Is it not like a short? Yeah, is it like it's kind of like a poem, is it? But not like a rhyming poem, like a haiku. Not like that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Like a story.
In one Buddhist allegory, a son carries his mother up a mountain on his back, and during the journey, she stretches her arms out, catching the twigs and scattering them in their wake, so that her son will be able to find the way home. A poem commemorates the story, and I'll try and give this some feeling. In the depths of the mountains, whom was it for the aged mother snapped, one twig after another? Heedless of herself, she did so for the sake of her son. Ubasudi sometimes appears as a metaphor for contemporary Japanese treatment of the elderly, who are noted for above average suicide rates.
Yeah.
So the suicide in Japan, suicide is considered a major social issue. In 2017, the country had the 7th highest suicide rate in the OECD. Now, I don't exactly know what it stands for, but it was at basically 14.9 per 100,000 persons. And like when you consider that their population is so dense and high, like that's massive. Like a lot of people. During the 1997 Asian financial crisis, rates of suicide spiked heavily, increasing by 34.7% in 1998 alone, and remaining relatively higher thereafter. After peaking in 2003, suicide rates have been gradually declining, falling to the lowest on record since 1978 in 2019. So they're making some headway.
That's a long time to go, though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Monthly suicide rates in Japan increased by 16% between July and October of 2020 due to a number of reasons attributed to the, as you can imagine, the COVID-19 pandemic. 70% of suicide in Japan are male, and is the leading cause of death in men aged 20 to 44.
That's mental.
Yeah, of all the
big
things.
age bracket.
No, but it's I think the biggest thing for me is that's the leading cause of death.
Well, yeah, that's true. Actually,
fucking hell.
Well, I mean, if you look at the age bracket, though, it kind of marries up.
It's 24 years, yeah.
Yeah, but
20 to 44, you theoretically should be reasonably fit and healthy,
Yeah, but still, of all the possible things that can happen, such as
I guess car crashes,
road tolls, snap, workplace accidents, snap, severe illnesses like terminal illnesses that can happen to anyone at any time.
Yeah, that's true.
Fuck, you'd think
the leading cause of death in men aged 20 to 44. It's mental.
Historically, the cultural attitudes towards suicide in Japan have been described as tolerant, probably because it's so freaking common, with certain types of suicide being considered honorable, especially during military service. For example, seppuku was a form. Seppuku was a form of ritual suicide by self-disembowelment, practiced mainly by samurai to avoid dishonor. Such as after defeat in battle or after bringing shame upon oneself. So during the World War II, the Empire of Japan regularly employed kamikaze and bonsai charged suicide attacks and encouraged suicide as a preferable alternative to capture.
You wonder how they, you wonder how that guy teaches them. It's Billy Connolly done a joke on, like suicidal pilots, shall we say? But in this context, it'll be the kamikaze pilots. Imagine going into that training room, right, lads? I'm only going to show you this once.
The samurai, the kamikaze pilots were actually given when meth was developed during World War I and World War II. They were given high doses of methamphetamine before plowing into the planes, plowing into the boats. The kamikaze pilots.
It's like that World War II German chocolate that they gave them. It was like meth chocolate.
Yeah,
it's like chocolate filled with meth, so they could keep going.
Oh, now we're talking.
Yep.
I don't think Cadbury's are going to do a special release on that anytime soon.
Yeah.
It's only $35 for half a kilo.
Yeah. So the general attitude towards suicide has been termed tolerant, and on many occasions, suicide is seen as a morally responsible action.
It's fucked.
This cultural tolerance may stem from the historical function of suicide in the military. So in feudal Japan, honorable form of suicide, as I mentioned, was seppuku. Among samurai was Japanese warrior. Is I don't know if that's the direct translation, but samurai. Well, I mean, you would like to think that most people know who the samurai were, but they were the elite of the elite. It was considered, so this was considered a justified response to failure or inevitable defeat in battle. Traditionally, seppuku involved the slashing open of one's stomach with a sword. The purpose of this was to release the samurai's spirit upon the enemy and thus avoid dishonorable execution and probable torture at the hand of an enemy. So today, honor suicides are also referred to as harikiri, which literally is translated as belly cutting. Cultural tolerance of suicide in Japan may also be explained by the concept of amai.
Yeah, ame or whatever it is.
Ame, yeah, that's how I would say that.
Or the need to be dependent on and accepted by others. So. For the Japanese, acceptance and conformity are valued above one's individuality, which I think that their culture has sort of been molded that way for a very long time. Like you said, from the Empire of Japan back from the samurai and stuff like that.
It's all about the greater good for everybody. It's not about the individual.
Yeah. As a result of this perspective, one's worth is associated with how one is perceived by others, which is a bit of a catch-22, really, because people, sometimes people make their own minds up. Ultimately, this can lead to fragile self-concept and an increased likelihood of considering dying by suicide when one feels alienated.
Damn.
Yeah. Although Japanese culture historically permitted more tolerant views of the mortality and social acceptability of suicide, the rapid growth in suicide rates since the 1990s has increased public concern about suicide. And I think it's sort of become, it's always been a worldwide issue, but I think it's more publicized now.
Than ever before. But I think before it was not talked about and it was swept under the carpet.
Yeah, because it's morbid and it's so in particular, the trend of increased internet usage among adolescents and young adults, as well as the rising popularity of websites related to suicide, has raised concerns from the public and the media about how internet culture may be contributing to actually higher suicide rates, which is a bit, you think with all that technology, that what they exactly are talking about, in theory, you should be able to reach out easier. You know what I mean? But I guess there's many other factors
as we all know, the internet culture across the world.
Oh, yeah.
But it was actually
terrible.
I was going to talk about it on this one, but I'll do it on the next one. there's a small kind of social subgroup that I'm going to talk about next time in Japan. Dave, is it the Hikimoru? The Mori? Hikimori?
Yeah,
The Hikimori.
Ki Morimoto, or whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, and I'll discuss that more. So yeah, look forward to that.
So one phenomenon that has been particularly concerning is that of Shinju suicide pacts, which are formed among individuals, typically strangers, via internet forums and message boards. These pacts, which are popularly referred to as internet group suicide, are formed with the intention of all individuals meeting to die by suicide at the same time, by the same method. So while the concept of a group suicide has also has a historical presence in Japanese culture, traditional Shinju differs from the modern internet group suicide because it occurred among lovers or family or members rather than among strangers. Another difference is that mutual consent from those who die by historical Shinju was not required.
Yeah, it's fucked.
Yeah, wow. I think we should kill ourselves, and you don't have a choice.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, wow. So in other words, certain forms of Shinju might have been considered a murder-suicide in Western cultures rather than a suicide. An example of this type of Shinju would be a mother killing her children and then killing herself. So
A Chris Benoit.
A Chris Benoit, yeah.
Chris Benoit. Overall, modern public concern about Japan's increasing suicide rate has tended to focus on suicide as a social issue rather than a public health concern, which is
okay.
A bit of both, obviously, because if it's a leading cause of death. So, but there's still a massive stigma surrounding mental health care. It still exists in Japan, and there has been more emphasis on reforming social programs that contribute to economic stability, like welfare, rather than creating specific mental health services. So
it's fucked, man. It's fucked. They would much rather spend money on keeping people basically within the lifestyle they're accustomed to, as opposed to actually dealing with the mental health problems as a whole. So it's mental. I'm going to be talking to you about samurai and seppuku in detail, and this is going to be pretty heavy and pretty full on, but we need, this is information that people need to know. So seppuku, which translates from Japanese into cutting the belly, as we've already referred to, also as harikiri, which means abdomen or belly cutting, is a form of Japanese ritual suicide by disembowelment. It was originally reserved for the samurai in their code of honor, which for those playing at home is the Bushido. Which also practiced by other Japanese people during the Showa period, particularly officers near the end of World War II, to restore honour for themselves or for their families. As a samurai practice, seppuku was used voluntarily by samurai to die with honour, rather than fall into the hands of their enemies and likely be tortured. As a form of capital punishment for samurai, and also as a form of capital punishment for samurai who had committed serious offences, or performed because they had brought shame to themselves. The ceremonial disembowelment, which was usually part of a more elaborate ritual, was performed in front of spectators. You wouldn't get any tickets from Ticketek for this thing. Consisting of
is there a bar? Is there a bar? Is there merch?
Yeah, there's going to be.
Do they have nuts?
I survived my first seppuku t-shirts. Consists of plunging a short blade, traditionally a tanto, into the belly, which is and drawing the blade from left to right, slicing the belly open. And if the cut was deep enough, it can sever the descending aorta, causing rapid death by blood loss.
Well, if it's one thing the Japanese did well, they did lots of things well, but if it's one thing they did well, it was make blades.
I thought he was going to say it was one thing they did well, it was death.
And make cars.
Yeah.
So just a brief history of seppuku for you. So it was the first recorded act of seppuku was performed by Minamoto no Yoramasa during the Battle of Yuji in 1180. Seppuku was used by warriors to avoid falling to enemy hands and to attenuate shame and avoid possible torture, as we've already discussed. Samurai could also be ordered by the daimyo or feudal lords to carry out seppuku. So your mayor could say, "You cut your belly, you cut your belly, you cut your belly."
Yeah, you should just because internet culture now would just just kill yourself. Yeah. But this guy was like, no, you need to kill yourself. What? Can I not? Can I not just
kill yourself?
Can I not just leave? Can I just move town? No, you kill
no,
yourself.
Do it now.
Oh, okay.
And later, disgraced warriors were sometimes allowed to carry out seppuku rather than being executed in the normal manner. The most common form of seppuku for men was composed of cutting the abdomen, and when the samurai was finished, he stretched out his neck for an assistant to sever his spinal cord.
Just on that. Sorry, Dave.
Yeah, man, no.
It's like with disgraced warriors were allowed to carry it out rather than be. Imagine that, right? Kill yourself or we'll kill you.
Yeah.
What? Oh,
And what was the normal way of getting executed? Was chopping your head off. So
if it was like the French did not bad with the guillotine, like I don't know if that was the options. I probably like I got a lot of belly to get through before you get to the guts. So yeah,
I don't know, man. I don't know about the whole guillotine thing either. I reckon you would see your head, like you would see briefly spinning around. Very briefly.
No, I don't think. No, it doesn't spin all the time. It depends. Like they might line the basket with towels, so because it goes into a little basket.
What I'm saying is you would be alive for, I reckon, a good 1 or 2 seconds with your head missing from your body.
Yeah, but like no pain receptors.
No.
Yeah, that's true.
But, I'm just saying, like, if I was given the choice to stab myself to fuck in the stomach or guillotine, that's the only option. I'm thinking about guillotine. Like that's what all I'm saying.
Did you know that the guys, when they actually did medical tests, as much as they could do during the French Revolution, that they slapped the face of the heads that were cut off, and the heads actually grimaced. So there was definitely, you said, Chris, they can feel it still, but for a short period of time they would definitely
that's shit. You've just had your head cut off and some guy slaps you.
Ultimate shame.
Yeah. I bet they paid for that. Who wants to slap the guy's head? I'll do it.
Slap the head, buddy. It was the assistant's job to decapitate the samurai in one swing, otherwise it would bring great shame to the assistant's family.
And then he'd have to do it.
Yeah.
It's just that the world record for samurais failing to cut heads off is 55 people.
55 people in a row do harikiri.
Yeah. Oh my god. Who cleans that up?
That'll be awful.
The wolves.
There's no spray and wipe would clean that out the carpet. Those who did not belong to the samurai caste were never ordered or expected to carry out seppuku. Samurai generally could carry out the act only with permission. So, can I kill myself? No. Can I kill myself? No. Kill myself? All right then. Sometimes the daimyo was called upon to perform seppuku as the basis of a peace agreement. So, so the feudal lord, to seal a peace agreement, had to kill himself to seal it. So this weakened the defeated clan, so that the resistance effectively ceased. So watch me butcher this one. Tomi Hideyoshi used the enemy suicide in this way on several occasions, the most dramatic of which effectively ended the dynasty of the feudal lords. Now, this is a gold star warning in relation to this, because this is pretty full on.
At all.
Yeah. So, this is how it actually happened. The practice was not standardized until the 17th century, and in the 12th and 13th centuries, such as with the seppuku of Minamoto no Yoramasa, the practice of Kaisha-kun basically means his second, which
Kaisha-kunen.
Kaisha-kunen had not. So basically, the practice of having an assistant had not emerged yet, and thus the rite was considered far more painful. The defining characteristic was either plunging a tachi longsword, a wakasashi short sword, or a tanto, which is a knife, into the gut and slicing the abdomen horizontally. In the absence of a second, the samurai would then remove the blade and stab himself in the throat, or fall from a standing position with the blade positioned against his heart. Now that takes some fucking testicles to do that shit.
So, like, because don't in the movies and stuff, they stab themselves and like move it from side to side, but then don't they twist it as well in like the films and shit?
Yep.
So is that wrong then?
No. So what that's going to do is, instead of having a straight cut, which you can repair, having a twisted cut allows it to not basically be repairable. So
and also your guts is now spaghetti.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Oh, fuck that.
Here's a bit of history for you. During the Edo period, which is 1600 to 1867, carrying out seppuku came to involve a more detailed ritual. This is usually performed in front of spectators, as I said before, going through Ticketek for some tickets, as if it was a planned seppuku, as opposed to one performed on a battlefield. The samurai was bathed and dressed in white robes and served his favourite foods or a last meal, just like a normal execution in the States. When he'd finished, the knife and cloth were placed on a sambo or a table and given to the warrior. Now, I'll throw some pictures up, but basically it's a blade that has a towel cloth wrapped around it so it doesn't go too deep. And so you actually hold the blade not by the hilt, but you hold the blade by the actual blade. And dressed ceremonially with his sword placed in front of him, and sometimes seated on special clothes, the warrior would prepare his death by writing a poem.
I would write the longest poem in the world.
Yeah,
he's still writing. Like I can outlive these fuckers. Like I can.
War and Peace was written.
That's it.
He would normally consume an important ceremonial drink of sake, which is Japanese rice wine, and give his attendants a cup meant for sake. He would be dressed in a white kimono worn for death, and his assistant standing by, he would open up his kimono, take up his knife, which was he held by his blade, as I said before, so it wouldn't cut his hand, and plunge it into his abdomen, making a left to right cut. The assistant would then perform a kai shaku, a cut in which the warrior was partially decapitated. Now, the maneuver should be done in the manners. The maneuver should be done in the manners of dai kai kubi, or literally mean embraced head, in which a slight band of flesh was left behind, attaching the head to the body, so that it be hung in front as if embraced. So basically, he's hugging his head.
Wow.
Yeah, it's mental. Because of the precision necessary for such a maneuver, the second, or the assistant, was a skilled swordsman, and the principal and the assistant agreed in advance when the latter was to make his cut. And usually the dai kubi, or the embraced head, would occur as soon as a dagger plunged into the abdomen. So when they were making that first cut, they don't slice the entire thing away, but they would basically decapitate them immediately. Over time,
I guess that's...
Yeah.
I was going to say, I guess that's kind of like, should we make this more humane? Because this is a bit fucked.
Mm-hmm.
Like some guys it's taking too long to die. Like we should fucking hell. I just can't comprehend this right now.
No. So over
it's
time,
just nuts.
Over time, the process became so highly ritualized that as soon as the samurai reached for his blade, the assistant would strike, and eventually the blade even became unnecessary, and the samurai could reach for something symbolic like a fan. You know, he didn't want to grab a pen to finish his poem, otherwise it would trigger the killing stroke from a second.
That's better. That's a better method.
Yeah,
like you don't have to do it yourself. Yeah.
It became more of an execution as opposed to like a ritualized execution as opposed
But
to
an agreed execution. Yeah.
Yeah. And the fan was likely used when the samurai was too old to use the blade, or in situations where it was too dangerous to give him a weapon. And if a defeated warrior had fought honorably and well, an opponent who wanted to salute his bravery would volunteer to act as his second. So you make the opposition, and basically
that was a
ritualized
thing.
Yeah, ritualized suicide or ritualized execution, basically. Now I have a little quote from Yamamoto Tasuni Tomo, Kokorimasu Hayo. From the ages past, it has been considered an ill omen by samurai to be requested as a kaishaku. The reason for this is that one gains no fame, even if the job is well done. Further, if one should blunder, it becomes a lifetime disgrace. In the practice of pastimes, there were instances when the head flew off. It was said that it was best to cut, leaving a little skin remaining, so it did not fly off in the direction of the verifying officials. I wonder if that would get a better score from the officials if you actually landed a head in front of them.
Yeah,
like a diving competition.
Oh yeah, so the like the verifying officials like judges was like dead or not dead.
Yeah,
like that's like
it's going to be whether they left the skin on or not. It's going to be whether they got a 10 out of 10 or a 9.5 from Japan. It's a it's
but
crazy.
you'd want someone like good with a blade to do it. Like imagine a guy turned up with a mace. Like, oh my god, this is just gonna fucking.
he just rocks up with a brick.
This is, oh my god, it took 4 hours. We all had to sit there.
This is the closest samurai we could find. This is Billy Joe.
And the worst thing is the bar always closes before the show starts, so we couldn't even go to the bar for snacks.
There's no intermission.
But that line in there from that section you just read, it says that the reason for this is that the reason for this is that one gains no fame, even if the job is well done. But that's a big contrast to the like the hangmen of England, because those lads was like celebrities.
Yeah,
like they were.
We were watching these like murder documentaries and trials and stuff like that, and you look at the likes of Manson and Gacy and Bundy, and like they get all these women like in love with them with like pen pals, and they're like it's weird, man.
Oh yeah, didn't on his forehead, was that Bundy?
Manson.
Oh, Manson, yeah. Like he got like married like 3 times in prison, didn't he?
Yeah.
Fucking.
It's like the notoriety. It's like these people raped and cannibalized children, and like it's like I don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you are one of our listeners and you're feeling bad, and if you don't have a partner, then don't fear. I'm not saying become a mass murderer or a hangman in England. However, there is hope for everybody.
Become a samurai.
Become a samurai. Yeah. But yeah, like the hangman of England
today.
Yeah, click become a samurai for only $9.95. But yeah, like the hangmen of England, that's a big contrast because they were like well revered in their trade and or their skill set. Like they like I think in some occasions it was like, oh no, I want this hangman because he'll get the job done properly.
Yeah. Like,
because some of the original ones were like fucking lobbing heads off left, right, and center when the trap door went down.
Yeah, well, it's like Anne Boleyn, who was one of the wives of Henry VIII. She decided to pick, instead of being an axe, which was to get a head chopped off, she decided to choose a sword, and the hangman or the executioner actually hit her so hard with the sword that it ends up basically embedding into the executioner's block. It was that. So obviously he was good at what he did with the sword as opposed to an axe.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But
I honestly thought Anne Boleyn was beheaded by guillotine.
No,
don't they portray that? Don't they portray that in like historical dramas and stuff?
Yeah, she was beheaded with a sword. Her choice. Yeah. But I've after all of our wonderful chat today about suicide and Japanese forests, I found some fun facts. Fun facts about suicide and samurais. In the 2017 revival and the final season of the animated series Samurai Jack, are you guys familiar with Samurai Jack?
I know of it. I've not watched them. Yeah.
The protagonist is distressed over his many failures to accomplish his quest, as told in prior seasons, and is then informed by a haunting samurai spirit that he has acted dishonorably by allowing many people to suffer and die from his failures, and he must engage in seppuku to atone for them. This is a child's cartoon.
Yeah, I thought it was a kid's thing.
It's a kid's cartoon. So I'm going to try and find that, at least the episode where the samurai spirit tells him to top himself.
Hey, Samurai Jack, you fucked up. Kill yourself.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm a ghost.
And the next bit, which there was I found a whole lot of other type suicide methods of seppuku, which were basically various different forms of basically forming shame on someone. But a super special form of seppuku in feudal times was known as kanshi, or death of understanding, in which the retainer would commit suicide in protest of his lord's action. The retainer would make one deep horizontal cut to his abdomen and then quickly bandage up the wound. After this, the person would then appear before his lord and give a speech in which he announced the protest of his lord's action and then reveal his mortal wound. Therefore, solidifying him as the "I got you" suicide method. So it was.
Oh man!
Wow. Well, the ultimate. This is your fault.
Pretty much. Yeah.
It's no. So it was. There's heaps more information in relation to, so go out and have a bit of a look yourselves. A lot of stuff was from Wikipedia, a lot of stuff was from stuff I've watched and books I've read in relation to this subject. So there's a lot of stuff out there, and it was quite interesting that it became a norm with the Japanese subculture of the samurai, as well as the which then I think led on to what we talked about with the Japanese suicide forest, where suicide in the Japanese culture became a norm as opposed to what it's deemed as in normal Western culture as a massive, massive problem. So it's it's crazy.
Well, I think on behalf of myself and Goose Dave, that was absolutely fantastic research, and it's a really good thing for us to produce this evening. Yeah, thanks for that.
Anytime.
Yes.
Anytime.
We've got so I can save my topic, which is kind of on the same lines for the next episode as well.
Yeah.
Once we go back to a normal topic or a normal episode structure. On that as a self-proclaimed amateur expert in YouTube videos, there is quite a few documentaries on the Aokigahara, including the Vice one, which was probably one of the main ones I watched. And there's a few others lying around there, but the Aokigahara was also the place that was it Jake or Logan Paul visited?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
whichever one of those fucking idiots visited, and found a dead body and then put it on the YouTube video. And obviously everyone lost their shit because he was a YouTube influencer. However, Vice in their documentary, they found a dead body and they put it on YouTube. So I don't know what the difference is, but
I think wasn't he like?
Was he making jokes about it or something?
Yeah, he was making jokes, or he's laughing or something. Or
but like he's probably an individual that has never had to experience anything like that in society or in his life. It's probably a coping mechanism by his brain at that point. But also he's probably like ourselves, in which his content might heavily be edited prior to production or post-production. So therefore, he had a chance to, but he obviously thought that was acceptable to put on, which in fairness, it was. But yeah, that's the Aokigahara was the forest that got him into a bit of trouble. And I think it's quite difficult to find the clip now because it got taken down.
It got taken down for sure,
So,
yes.
So,
all right.
There you go.
I think that's episode 15 wrapped. It's almost midnight, and we're we are doing this remotely again, so because obviously due to lockdown, and we've spent about a month and a half since our last one. So this has been a good one. I've enjoyed having a bit of a yarn to you boys about a bit of everything.
Yeah,
tonight. It's been good.
It's been good, and also probably the more will be remote now because it'll take the boys about a month and a half to drive to my new house as well. So
I have to get the passport.
Sorry guys. We used to all live in the same place, but we no longer live in the same place.
No.
I think I might have to apologize for my flatness tonight, but I think I've been up for 40 hours now. So,
and guess what we're doing after the podcast?
Oh my god!
Yeah, Conan, let's go and punch monkeys.
I think Miyagi's on. So,
he's always on. He's never not on. I don't know how that guy survives.
I don't know either.
In the words, we'll finish with the words of the mighty Mr. Miyagi. It's time for us to wax on and now wax off.
Bye bye. That's all, folks.